Hey everybody, good morning. How's it? Happy Aloha Friday to you. I had got a bunch of comments about how my audio has changed and sounded like it got a little degraded and in the last couple months. And at first I was like, no, that can't be me. I'm usually really good at that. And I come to realize everybody was right. Got a little help with my friends from Twitch on checking my OBS settings. So I'm hoping that this not only looks a little better. I'm still working on the green screen outline thingy here and excuse me. But I'm hoping that I got my audio and I upped my potential 4K-ish kind of thing. I'm an old guy. Sometimes I just settle in on what looking cool, but then come to find out with a few tweaks. Anyhow, all that being said, while doing that, I came across Animate, and they just released this like 16 hours ago. I was just doinking around on my browser, doing some Patreon suggestion searches. They popped up. I figured, I'm looking up metalcore. They popped up. I'm dropping in. So let's do this. Thank you guys so much for your support. Like usual, the cups of coffee, super badass. Joining me on Patreon. I just released a huge Patreon-a-thon on new metal. It was really super duper cool. And I also have a complete Gojira album review on Patreon. So if you just want to drop by, maybe just come by for 1 month and then dig out after you listen to that, that's fine. But either way, I got to thank you guys all for your support. Still, to this day, 2.5 years later, still supporting me. Talking too much before the songs. All right, meat and potatoes, here we go. This is Animate, and the name of this track is False Meridian. So we're doing this. All right. Where's the button? There it is. Okay, so obviously it opens up with, this really unique kind of ambient percussive sequence, kind of arpeggiation. I don't mean percussive. It had a definitive like. So that kind of sunk me into what I thought was the key. But when they came in with the really super hard, tuned down. I don't know, do we call it genty or something when you get that low, or if that fits the metalcore or the technical death metalcore, genres, and how deep you go, there's no limit. And I had to struggle for a second to find that key or something. Like it became really, really super dissonant. Obviously, that's probably what they wanted to get across. So the vocals come in, it's crushing, I'm banging, but I got to tell you what, that pre-chorus was absolutely badass. And I'll tell you what I love about the pre-chorus is not only did it kind of like reset kind of like your palette a little bit, for you knew what was coming at some point was going to be a banging hook, but his voice, a whole completely different texture of his voice, where he had such a glassy, whimsical, not wimpy, I said whimsical, glassy, whimsical, kind of soul-pulling vibe about that voice with really super cool vibrato. Like I can't. It's hard for me to kind of pull that together. With then all of a sudden he turns it into his full blown coffee strong, grindy fry. And then in the hook, you saw me going ticka 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 ticka. So they've got the darker, heavier chugs, really just keeping the beefcake down. But then in the back, you're hearing, which is usually kind of odd, I think, in this kind of super progressive metalcore, a riff that what I thought was probably a little bit more of the better part of the arrangement was sunk lower. But I heard it back there. It was there. I heard you. It was there, but it was smoking. Great freaking harmonies. What a great sound they're getting from the guitar there. Just absolutely wonderful, ambient, ethereal, but the brittleness of it still keeps you kind of a little socked into the edginess of the track. What I mean by that is just there's a high-end crystally part of that guitar sound, but washed up with that just infinity style reverb. And today's reconstruction and remodeling of reverbs now, it's just hitting a whole different level. Now, if I'm right, wasn't the first hook almost like in double time with the drums? So they've given us cut time, double time, and regular time. I don't know what that middle section was that you saw me just make all those, like I was like, kind of hook. I don't know what to do. At that point, I don't know if that was there. What does Nick Nocturnal call it in those guys? The blast break or something like that, or the breakdown or something like that. But geez, that was hammering. I don't know where that fit and what they decided to do there, but that was freaking hammering. Great sounds, man. The etherealness of today's sounds that producers and engineers and keyboardists, or I don't know, however you want, people who are prompting AI, I don't know. It's just getting so rich and dynamic. It's such a freaking joy to hear this, and especially with my journey on my other channel, me reviewing video game music, and for that matter, learning how to play them. Hearing the crossover of that kind of production for the ambient ethereal part of this track. I think at the very end of this, as well as with the just unreal vocal production and the great harmonies, not thick and intense harmonies, just great harmonies and where they're placed in the mix. I guess my wrap up of this of listening to this would be as demonic and as dark and as gnarly as a band can get, and float such, this is so cliche, such angelic floating ambient ethereal vibes. I don't think I've heard it any cleaner and any less contrived. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can feel or you can hear where like a producer or engineering or in production, they slip something in because it's a new part of the sound of a particular genre. But this was engineered so well, and every single bit of the tones had such a wonderful little pocket it lived in that it gelled 100%, you know, top to bottom, spherically. Sonic spherically. Is there such a thing? I don't know. I'm making shit up right now because it's early in the morning and I'm drinking some Death Wish coffee, and so I'm feeling spherically. So anyhow, guys, thank you so much for hanging in like usual. I think this video is probably going to look and sound a lot better than the last ones I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 months. I had no idea until I fixed it. Thank you guys for your time and your patience. Have a killer weekend. And of course, thank you for the support. If you're still here, you always got to type in, I'm still here. Have a great weekend. All right. I don't know why I made that face. I don't. See ya.